Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Sky Lila Experience. Today we have Katrena Friel, who's a CEO and founder, who will be talking about business, entrepreneurship, becoming an expert in your field. And she is in a very special place to me, Sydney, Australia. Welcome, Katrena. Hello.
Oh, hello, all the way from Sydney, Australia. We're
Yes, thank
having
you
big,
so
big
much.
storms here, so if you hear thunder and lightning, you'll know you're amongst it.
Good. That great. That's great. It makes me feel at home.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, great. Could you give me a little backstory? Just briefly, what do you do or what do you focus on? I know you have an endless list of accomplishments, but what would be the main thing that you focus on and help others with?
So prior to COVID, I was actually doing 80% corporate training and executive coaching and 20% becoming the expert program, people that wanted to do what I did and we'd help them do that. And then during COVID and after COVID, it just flipped. And so 80% of my time now is working with my business called Becoming the Expert, where we create a whole business for somebody, a startup for somebody in their personal brand. So it's like sort of seven streams of income around their field of excellence, whatever that might be. So it starts with a bit of a book and then a keynote and then a signature program and it goes from there. So we do everything for them. So the website, the social media, everything all gets set up for them. So they don't have to worry about all that pre-setup because sometimes for people that takes like 5 years to sort all that out. We do all that in 90 days so that they can get on the road and get started and get out there.
Right. Yeah, it's so getting an entrepreneur, giving them all the tools and supplies to get started because otherwise entrepreneurs, at least for myself, I know I have an endless list and then my mind's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I don't know, I'm just
Yeah.
not going to do any of it."
Yeah, because we're not experts in those fields of excellence. We're experts in other fields of excellence. So that's why I say to people, don't do all that heavy lifting yourself. Just, we'll do it all for you so that you can just get back to what it is you do love and what you do really, really well.
Right. So how did you get into it? At what point what was your building up to and gathering all the piece and what led you to where you are and created because you've created a whole business around helping
Yeah.
other entrepreneurs, but what were the components?
Yeah, so every time I was out there speaking, there was always somebody that came up and said, "Oh, I would love to do what you do." And I
Mhm.
started to think, "Oh, well, how did I do what I do, and how did I sort that out, and what were the components?" So I started to have a think about that. And back in the day, about 25 years ago, I started a trainers academy where I would do these retreats and getaways and give them bits and pieces. And then over the years, it went from what I call a soup to a refined sauce. And
Oh,
now it's just so refined. I've done it so many times. I can really get into those nuts and bolts very quickly. And a lot of the stuff happens behind the scenes you wouldn't even know. And then it contains, I realized what people really needed. The nuts and the bolts are the one thing, but there's all this mindset, confidence issues that there is underpinning everything that people are thinking about. So I like to deal with the psychology of the entrepreneurship
yeah.
experience, and I'll do the nuts and bolts. But really, that's just nuts and bolts. It's the psychology and getting people through so that they don't sabotage themselves and
Mhm.
that they don't talk themselves out of everything. Because that's the thing, particularly with women, they're very good at talking themselves out of everything. They're not
Yep.
very good at talking themselves into things and
Mhm.
having a crack. I mean, I know it's very Australian for me to sort of say, have a go, have a crack. But
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
have a go, have a crack. I
Crack
mean,
on.
what's the worst that can happen? You can't be any more miserable than they are in their current roles. So
Right.
and I like to run a dual strategy as well. So I never say to people, give up your job, build the parachute as you fall. No, I say stay in your job. And when we're working on the side hustle and when we're working on building this business, now that they've got all these wonderful goals happening in the background, they're actually happier in the now automatically. So it makes the day-to-day much more bearable, and we allow that job, that job, to fund what it is that we're building over here. And it just makes for a really good experience, because I don't want people having financial stress while we're building this, because that's the last thing you want on your mind is financial stress. So pay your mortgage, have your food, get your petrol, and then we'll build this on the side. And then, you've got lots of annual leave, you've got lots of days without pay, you've got lots of ways of running this business without it actually affecting your day-to-day. So do that for a good, could be 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, however long you need or want, depending on your expenses, to just do both. I call it a dual strategy, and it takes the whole angst out of the start of your entrepreneurial journey, because quite frankly, you need cash flow to keep going.
You're right. And most often you hear, oh, just go for it. And then people do that with no training, no foundation, no core strength. And then it's scary. And then that's why probably 80% fail.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just really, really bad advice just to go for it without any of the structure that you need underpinning yourself. So I'm the structure. I create all the scaffolding for you. You've actually got a product by then, and I like to work with a high premium priced product, as opposed to I'm not selling a program that tells you to sell $49 stuff thousands of times, because I just think that's just as hard to sell as it is to sell a $20,000 program. So to me, you may as well go straight there, load up the value, sell once to your clients, and then get on with the transformation. I don't really love the ascension model, because I think you lose a lot of good people along the way. And, a $49 customer is very different from a $20,000 customer. So you really want to be attracting the right people rather than the tire kickers or the $49 chasers or the free chasers or whatever they are.
Yeah, you'll get more results that way too if people are financially committing to something. What would you say, do you notice a pattern of people that you're working with in like the psychology or the resistance towards, if somebody goes, oh, I'm too scared to sell something for 20,000 versus 49? Like, what, do you notice that pattern, or what it is and why and how to get over it?
100%. Like, that is the most fantastic question I think I've had all year, including last year. No, it's a really good question, because what it is if you haven't invested in yourself at that level, then you really can't sell at that level. You're not that customer yourself. And so if you've bought a $5,000 product, then you're much more going to be comfortable with a $5,000 product, and then a 10 or a 20. That's how it happens. So when you are a $49 chaser or a free chaser, and you start your own business, then you bring all that psychology with you. And so my job is, once they've invested in me, which is at that higher level, then they suddenly earn the right to be able to sell at that level. So just by purchasing my program, it tends to get them there. But we have this conversation, this exact conversation around the psychology of it, earning the right to sell and understanding the psychology of selling that at that level. Because for most people, they don't have 20 grand sitting around in a bank account going, oh, what can I spend that on? Yay, let's go. They have to sort of look around and find how they're going to bring that money together, and how the universe magically will manifest that for them, and how that will all look and feel and sound. So, yeah, you've got to have a little look around. And there is a psychology to it, definitely. But there's also I do a lot of work with my clients around self-worth, self-value, self-belief. And those three things need to come together in the process before they hit the road. Once they hit the road, they start to practice that. And they ring me up every time they're having a sensation in their body around self-value, self-worth, self-belief. And that's the beauty of running your own business. It brings up all your
Yeah,
psychological issues and all
100.
your lack. Yeah. And so it's great. I say to them, that's why I'm on tap. Part of my program is being on tap for them. So we
I
deal
love
with it as and when it happens.
that.
So it's fresh and it's up. And we go, okay, interesting. Interesting. You were talking to this woman. What was it about that woman that triggered you? What was it about this guy that triggered you? What was it about this price? Why did you trip over that, conversation around the money? It's all got to be dealt with as you're battling through your first year.
Right. So almost if somebody's trying to, instead of, I mean, I guess you are scaling up in a way, but say somebody's already got a business running
Mm.
and they sell for minimal, it's really almost just earning the right is kind of what you're saying in order to level up. There is basically the psychology behind it. There's really not a huge in-depth complicated process of what they need to overcome. It's actually quite straightforward of have you done your own investment.
I think so. I think so. And also just doing it. So you've got to be structured correctly first. So if you're selling a $49 product, quite often what I have to do is I have to go and unpack all of that current business and find out what the actual signature program is for 5,000, 10,000 or 20,000. And we need to build that because a $49,000 offering is very light on. It's
Right.
really just a taster or a one chapter or a this or a that. It's not transformational. Whereas what I want to build is the whole thing end to end, because the thing about it is people are sick of buying marketing product. Marketing product is say, hey, come over here and have a taste of this new cheese. Come over here and have a little cube. What I
Yeah.
want to build is the whole block of cheese.
Yeah.
So that, you experience the whole thing, you actually transform end to end. What do I need to have in my program so that I get in, I do all that work, and I get spat out the other end, and I'm done, and I'm complete, and I'm whole. Rather
Yeah.
than, here's a little piece of cheese. Oh, by the way, I've got another piece of cheese for you. And you're drip feeding these people, these little tiny bits. And do they ever transform? No, because it's so bitsy. So I just don't agree with the whole structure of that from a learning perspective. I understand it from a marketing perspective, but hey, we're in the business of transformation. We're not in the business of marketing. But unfortunately, the whole industry, coaching industry, has flipped over into just the best marketers win
Right.
instead of the best transformational coaches win. And so I want clients to think about their product and think about what is the entire experience end to end, build that, and then learn how to sell that day in and day out really quickly.
Right. Instead of dispersing your energy saying you got this and you got this, it's
Yeah.
almost a disservice
Yes.
selling tiny little things instead of just here, let me put all my energy into you for a year as opposed
Yeah.
to a weekend
Yeah.
and let's transform.
Yeah. Let's transform. Think about it like that. Think end to end, because that's what makes you the expert. Whereas selling this little half-ass thing that doesn't get anything, yes, they know, like, and trust you, but they should already know, like, and trust you in the free discovery session, quite frankly, because usually, one of the strategies that I talk about in sales and marketing side of things is we do the book. And the book creates the rigor for you, builds confidence for you, and positions you as the expert. Then from that, we turn that book into a live end-to-end signature program solution. But you can't go straight to a signature program end-to-end solution until you've done the rigor of your philosophy. So by doing the book, yes, you end up with a book that opens doors and positions you as the expert, bonus, bonus, bonus. But most importantly, it builds confidence in you as to who you are and what you stand for. You're doing the rigor of that. And then from the book, I want you to keynote speak. So everybody needs to speak, whether that's on a podcast or on the stage, or doesn't matter where you speak. But when you speak, people are connected to you and they're connected to your message. And so that when those two things magnetized, They know, like, and trust you. They wouldn't sign up for a free discovery session if they didn't. So
Right.
it's up to you to lose it in the free discovery session. It's not up to you to get it.
Right. How do you encourage that speaking though? If somebody's just started a business, where do they even begin? How do they build that confidence? Where do they
Oh,
reach out to?
well, it's a whole thing. So, uh, look, there's thousands and thousands of people with podcasts, so there's plenty of practice they can do there. There's a wonderful place called matchmaker.fm. I like my clients to start there with their practice ones, because the Matchmaker FM makes it really easy to just apply, get on podcasts and practice. But then you've got to get serious after that. So then looking around the local area as to where your market is and where your market isn't. There's no point in speaking in front of people that are not your avatar. You've got to find where your avatar goes. And so there's a bit of research involved. There's a bit of looking around. There's a little bit of building relationships. But go do that networking, because, if you're not speaking, then you're not educating your market, which means your market doesn't know what it doesn't know, which means the market doesn't care, because it doesn't know that it needs to care about that stuff.
Right.
So you've got to educate. Don't think of it as speaking. Don't think of it as sales. Think of it as educating. You either educated them or you didn't.
Right. You're the first person to say that. And that's the first time I've heard basically go speaking as a part of a business strategy almost.
100%. It's the secret of my success for 25 years, and I still teach it to this day. And I've seen the market go round and round. So I watch the market cycles, and it's so funny. I've been doing Done For You for over 25 years. I watched Done For You come back into fashion. And I was like, hallelujah. People have realized that online programs, 75% of people don't even open online programs that they've purchased for a low price, because low price, low value, don't care. Oh, well, I spent $195. Who cares? I didn't even open it. And then of those people that actually opened it, 95% of them don't even complete.
Yeah.
So hang on a moment. I love to receive your money for jam. I love to receive your money for doing nothing. But quite frankly, I'm not happy about that. I don't feel good about that, because where's the person transforming? That's where I get my buzz from. I get my buzz from people actually doing the work, setting themselves up, getting out there and doing it. I don't have any joy or happiness from people giving me $195 and doing nothing with it. In fact, that's going to get me depressed quite quickly. I feel sad about that. And I don't want the money, so I don't sell that shit. I just don't.
Smart. No, I love that. It's a great way. I love your energy behind it, because in so many online courses that I have watched and learned from really shows the latter. And it's so refreshing to hear you say, scratch that. That's BS. Just go for gold. Not like, it's a benefit to everyone, truly, not just yes, you, great, but also that individual person. It's really like you're signing up for a whole life coach.
Yeah. And look, I don't agree with it always being 12 months. I often think that can be too long. My program happens to be 12 months, but I find if you can do it in a short period of time, give them everything that they need now. What I don't like about online programs sometimes is the drip feed, where I'm drip fed this bit, then that bit, then that bit. And it's like, Jesus Christ, I need it all now. Like, I need to get on with it. Like, bloody hell. Get it on. Like, give it to me, baby. It has to be, so just give it to me. And that's what I do is in the first 2-day kickoff, I do a 2-day kickoff. Ideally, it would be lovely for them to come here if they can. But I've been doing this globally for years and years now, since Zoom really took off. And these other platforms took off, because once we had COVID, it revolutionized our lives. Now people were quite happy to sit with me for hours on Zoom and do the work. And it was fine. And I got through COVID no problem. And my husband was amazed. He thought it was magic. He goes, so that lady in Germany was with you the whole time for 2 days? I'm like, yeah, right. and
Yes.
London, and I had Sweden, and I had, oh God, it was just, they were everywhere. It was so fantastic.
Incredible. Oh,
And so,
good.
yeah, it doesn't mean it can't be online, but it needs to be live. And I really recommend to people to give it to them one on one. And that's where the premium price comes in. They're getting you one on one, they're getting you, you can kick off straight away. I do a 2-day kickoff so that I give them everything they need so they've got the bigger picture and we get started. And then the rest of the 12 months is really 90 days of me building everything, all the assets. And then the rest of it is just them doing it and me helping get through it and making sure they feel comfortable better and better each day.
Right. And then after the 90 days, do you have a regular meeting time? Is it always live? What does that process look
Again, I hate people that say we'll catch up every month or every fortnight or every week. What I do is I say it's ad hoc, so it's as required. So when you get triggered and you need me and you need my advice, make an appointment. Let's go. And
smart?
so we do it unlimited access to me. So some of them might need 10 appointments all of a sudden and
Right.
then nothing for ages because we've set them up for success. In
Mm.
fact, if they don't need me at all, I've done a really, really good job. They're just
Mhm.
getting on with it.
Mhm.
And that's not the aim. The aim is for them, I say, take advantage of it. It's on tap,
Of
get
course.
into it. But over 25 years, no one's ever abused it.
Mhm.
It's always been reasonable and fair, and I do what I can, like we book in. But the answer to your question is they need me when they need me. They can't wait
Right.
4 weeks for their next appointment. That's
Mhm.
ridiculous. So I like to be very flexible, very responsive. And I
Yeah.
think
No.
at this early phase in their career, they need someone that's responsive. Most coaches don't want to touch you. Most coaches want to push you off to one of their other plebs that did their train the trainer program. You really never see the expert. And
Mhm.
this program's completely different. You've got full access to me. And I love it that way because I think we get the job done.
I can tell right now, sitting with you for 2 days, I'd get everything done. The energy, it's like, all right, okay, I'm on it, whatever you say.
Exactly.
That's
I am.
great.
I am a bit like that. That is my energy. I sort of call it Archangel Michael energy. I don't know if you
Yeah.
know about
Yes.
Archangel Michael energy from a
Yep.
spiritual perspective. He's got
Mhm.
this sword and he's going to
Mhm.
cut through your bullshit no matter what.
Mhm.
And
But in a loving way.
in a loving way,
Yeah.
exactly. People do see me as high energy, cut through the bullshit. Let's get to it. No mucking around, and we just don't bother with can'ts. We just find a way to make it work. And
Yeah.
yeah, I like to think of myself as nurturing, but I'm sure my clients see me as just cut through it and get to it. And it's all about
Well,
action for me.
it's a bit of both. It's almost like honestly, you remind me of my mother in a way that she in where she's there and you're there to support and love, but then you're also going to be real out of love with tough love because I
Yeah,
my mom will tell me shit if I need to hear shit, but
yeah,
then she'll also support me when I need whenever, whatever, but she's
yeah,
always
yeah.
real. So it just really sounds like the way you've approached this all has been um so just so loving in a very effective way almost because I'm like that's quite different than most coaches. It's almost, and that's probably where your so much success has come from, of instead of seeing it, it's like yes you have a business, but hearing you speak it doesn't sound like you're like running this strategic business. It sounds like yes you obviously have a game plan, but you're like no, I'm one-on-one, unconditionally loving and available for you when you need it, but not trying to just, it's really interesting to see your structure and how you go about this is obviously working, but great for the coaching knowledge business.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I suppose I call myself a business mentor because people don't understand the difference between training and facilitating, coaching
Mm,
and mentoring. And so, coaching, what they come out with, people that are coaches, they come out of their courses. If it's pure coaching, it means I'm asking a question.
mm,
And I'm asking the question so that you go in, get the answer, and bring it out. Whereas I
yeah.
think that's why coaching doesn't work because they don't know what they don't know. They've got no experience of it. So I could coach till the cows come home and they won't know the answer to that question because they've just got no concept of it. So I do a lot of business mentoring, which is telling them from my experience what I reckon. And that's what mentoring is you're paying for my experience, and then I'm giving you my experience and saying, well, that won't work because of this, and you should do that because of this, and don't bother with that. That's a waste of time, and let's just get on with that and just test that. And so that's why mentoring is so effective, because you fast track their thinking. Whereas if I said, so what do you think about writing a book? Where would you start? And it's like,
Right.
well, how
Why
would I
waste
fucking
time?
know? Jesus Christ. I mean, God. So that's why I don't believe in coaching at this phase. Now, I am asking questions. Once we get into their expertise, that's when I'll switch into more of a coaching mode, and I'll sort of say to them when we're writing their book and designing their signature program, that's when I can sort of say, so why would you start your program with that and not with this? And they go, oh, yeah, I can see what you're saying. Okay, let's switch it. So I can be seeing it from an overarching point of view, and I can see what will flow and work. And they may not be able to see that because they haven't run the program end to end 25,000 times.
Yes,
So,
yeah, exactly.
so my questions are quite pertinent at that point.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I believe what I do that's quite different is mentoring, and I don't shy away from telling you what to do.
Yeah.
And that's because I've got my opinion about why things work and why things don't work. And I think part of the reason people are starting to turn away from coaching now is because they're sick of being asked questions that they don't know the answer to, and they're sick of paying $10,000 to sit in a space of not knowing and not evolving quickly. People want to get in, get out. The younger generation now is so switched on and so smart. They just want to get into it. Like they don't want to faff around going, I don't know. What's the answer to that bloody question?
Yeah.
They just don't want to faff. So yeah, it's mentoring is what you're chasing. It's not coaching anymore. We're more of a guide. Been there, done that. Here's the guidebook. Let's go. Rather than, oh, what would you like to create today? Okay, well, that's fine. How about, what's your thinking about this and that? And it's like, oh, my God, they don't know. If they could have created something, they would have created it.
No, it's great to hear you say this because it's so refreshing. I've been, so much in this world, and it's all about coaching. And I'm like, even from such experts too, they're promoting different process, which is interesting to see because it's true. Entrepreneurs, it's like we're the only ones without a straightforward path already carved out. That's the challenge. My mom's always like, well, you're cutting down the forest right now. The road isn't paved yet. Eventually it is. And it's like, you're right. Who can help me though? No one specifically because it's your own vision, but seems like you could curate. You've got a really strong game plan and strategy that you've been able to adjust for. Sounds like all kind of any industry, right? You support with?
Yeah, what I'm really after is I don't want to work with a hairdresser that wants me to work on their hairdressing business. What I would turn that into is a hairdresser that is an expert in this particular field of excellence and wants to teach the whole industry how to do it properly, this thing.
Right.
So that's how I would structure that. So I can work with anybody, but what I'm looking for is projects that I'm interested in. So a lot of my work is very spiritual in nature, personal development, professional development. I love leadership. I love all of that all of that corporate training stuff because it's my bag, and I can add a lot of what I do with my clients is I give them my exercises. I give my programs away that I've been using for 25 years in the marketplace, and they get to have parts of my material because I know it works and I know that that's what they need to teach that thing. And so if they don't have all those materials, I give all my stuff away as part of the program. And and it's just wonderful that I can do that because I'm never going to teach their market. So it's not like taking food off my plate. I still will train my people. I'll still coach my people, but there is somebody over there doing it as well. Great.
Yeah.
There's
No, I
enough for
read
everyone.
on your biography, Katrina is the business mentor to the Awakened, and I saw Awakened. I was like, no way, that's so rare. I feel like in the business world to have that mix. There's a few out there, but I'm similar in the sense I'm like, well, I'll just ask my guides for the answer. Sometimes I'll do a quick meditation before I take action because I'm like, well, I don't have anyone to ask, so I'll just ask them and see what comes through and do that. But it's like that's such a nice niche to be moving into or to be growing within
Yeah,
because
I
it really
really
is.
love the awakened people. I don't want to work with muggles and people that have no clue about the universe as a whole.
Yes,
And
yeah.
they can tell when I'm speaking. When I speak, they kind of spiritual people will hear the signaling, and
Mhm.
the muggles will wonder why is she saying that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Why is she talking about the heart? Why is she talking about the guts? Why is she talking about the third eye? And
Yeah.
why is, and I talk about it like it's every day. To
Yes,
me,
me
it's
too.
just an everyday, normal, natural way of being. We are psychic. We are spiritual. We are
Mhm.
nature. I mean, we are all that. And so my biggest driver is to connect people back to that. And so
Right.
to understand that they are a force to be reckoned with, and why are we playing small, and why are we tiptoeing around being polite, humble, modest, all that's bullshit. It's all conditioning. We're meant to be screaming from the top of our lungs about hear me roar. I mean, come
I
on, people,
know.
step up,
Well,
get
I was
into life.
talking to my mom the other day 'cause she's back in Vancouver and she goes, you and I, we give people shit because her friend was just saying thank you, 20 years later for whatever my mom had given her shit for. And I'm like, I know people always get mad when I say real stuff, but then an hour or a year later, they're like, thanks so much for saying that. I really appreciate you. And I'm like, yeah, yeah,
It
whatever.
took you a
But
while. Slow learners, I call them.
yeah, but no, it's people do want to hear the truth and almost like break free from that. So I see
Yeah,
what you're saying. A lot of in business, so it's like, and I think what at least I have struggled with being like a spiritual entrepreneur is wanting to be spiritual and like meditate all day, but then also thriving in this human experience and then finding that balance almost of like, okay, we are here to live life and play this human game, how to connect it together without, because the majority of the world it's like you're one or the other. So how do you bring, are there any kind of not basic but like straightforward kind of universal patterns that happen with most people, like standard tips kind of how to bring that spirituality into your business or activate it or just shed the weight?
yeah. To me, it all it. Remember back in the day when they used to say, "I'm looking for work-life balance,
Mhm.
work, life, and then balancing those two things." To me, this is the same question. We're saying spiritual and work,
Mhm.
spiritual and entrepreneurship. Well, to me, it's all just life.
Mhm.
It's not
Yeah.
one thing. We're not balancing anything. I don't have kids, so I get to do entrepreneurship way more without any distractions than
Right.
the average mother would be able to. So I
Mhm.
take my life and
Mhm.
make it what I want.
Mhm.
Part of living a spiritual life is understanding that we're here to experience this particular density, not wishing that we were in some other density.
Mm.
So you're here. You're here to draw down into this density, which is reality here. Our
Mhm.
feet touch the earth here. So we work with this energy. That's why we're here to experience that. So go do that. If you can't handle the energy and if you can't manifest and if you can't draw down the magic and make it something that we can touch and feel and experience, then you've failed in the magic of this land
As a human being, you
as a
failed.
human being. Yeah, because you wanted to do something and you couldn't do it, and so
Right.
you die and have to come back and do it all over again.
Right. Right.
So who wants that? Nobody. So we're
Right.
here to. So my job is to teach people how to harness their energy, bring it
Mhm.
down, manifest it, and I show how to do scaffolding And anything you can see and touch and experience is masculine energy. And so the issue is really what we're talking about is women who are not in touch with their masculine energy.
Right. So on that note, as a female entrepreneur, how do you encourage, or what do you encourage, the feminine, the masculine, both? What about that? Because I know, at least for myself, I'm trying to just shift and see what way, how do I actualize my life best with both?
So it's just so important. And this is why most women will fail in business, or what most women will stillborn their idea. Their baby will die before it gets birthed. And even if it does get birthed, it just dies very quickly because there's just no scaffolding, no structure, no boundaries, no nothing. And so if you think about it like getting pregnant, so anyone can have sperm go up the vagina and lay into an egg. Boom, you're pregnant. Right. But it doesn't mean that baby will grow. Not every embryo develops. And that's your ideas. So ideas are cheap. It's the masculine energy that makes it stay. And so what I see with a lot of women is they have ideas. They get pregnant all the time. But nothing ever grows for 9 months. Right. Nothing is ever birthed after 9 months. And then if they did, can they keep the baby alive till teenager and into adulthood? Can you see that's the long-term staying in the business? So if you have a look at what makes business work, they have rules, they have regulations, they have scaffolding, they have policies, procedures, they have product, they have profitability, and all the buzzwords around business are all in there. But notice what they are. They're structure. That's it. And most women are they're happy to get pregnant, but they're not happy to birth the baby. And they don't have the ability for the baby to survive outside of their womb. And the reason women who are not balanced in their masculine and feminine energy are happy to leave it in the womb is because while it's in the womb, it can't be judged. Right. Whereas out of the womb, suddenly we're deciding whether that baby is a good-looking baby or not.
It's its own thing.
And then it gets judged, right? And women don't like that. Women haven't got the structure, the masculine energy, the scaffolding to be able to handle judgment. Whereas if you are balanced in your judgment, you actually understand that their opinion, like, look at where the judgment and the opinion is coming from. Do they know the journey? Are they your avatar? Should they even be worried about what you've birthed? I mean, is this even relevant to them? Like, what does your mum know about business? Or what does your dad know about businesses? What do your best friend know about business? Often nothing.
Right.
So why is their judgment and their opinion matter in this particular regard?
Yes.
It doesn't.
Yes.
So we've got to get really strong and have a lot of scaffolding around us to understand, oh gosh, that opinion's important. I really respect that person. They understand where I'm coming from. Like me as their mentor. When I say my opinion, they go, I know where she's coming from. Whereas if their friend down the road who's never run a business for their life and can hardly hold down a job, why is their opinion matter? It doesn't. So it's understanding who to listen to, who not to listen to. And quite frankly, I teach my clients not even to ask opinions.
It's true.
Like, keep your baby close, keep your baby protected, wrap your baby up, keep it in the pram, keep the folder down, and just go for it. Like, don't even worry about people looking in and having a look at your business, because who cares, like, what they think.
You're right.
It's irrelevant. They haven't done the last 6 months. They haven't done the last 9 months. They have no idea about the business. They have no idea about the decisions we've made and why we've made them and why that slots with that and this goes with that and that's what we're doing because that'll all work because that's our market. Right. They have no idea about all those details, so they should shut the fuck up, quite frankly.
No, I love the example. It's so easy to understand because everyone can comprehend a pregnancy and birth and all of that process behind it. But for some reason, then the business side, it's like you try, I think, because of the insecurity,
Yeah.
you take everyone's advice in, you want tips and tricks and this and that,
It's
but
the
it's like,
worst. That's the
yeah.
worst thing to do. That's
Mm,
actually the worst thing to do is go around asking everybody, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Because you'll end up with 100 opinions that actually don't matter, that are irrelevant and disjointed. And then you end up with, as they say, analysis paralysis. And then you do nothing.
right.
Ray, congratulations. You did nothing. Woohoo. And then you die and you go back up there saying, oh, I've got all these regrets. I coulda, shoulda, woulda. Like, that's
Yeah.
not living. Living is saying, I did this, I tried this, I've done that, I've done that, I've done that. Good, I've put that all in my body. My soul has had that experience. The soul, the body dies, but the soul holds on to that experience, all those experiences. And that's what it's here to do. The soul is simply curious. It wants to know what we're made of, what we're capable of. That's potential. So
Mm-hmm.
give yourself access to your potential. And we're meant to be trying things, doing things, creating things. That's what we're here to do. Because in this density, that's the game.
Mm-hmm.
On this
Mm-hmm.
earth, that's the game, is things you can touch. That's the density here.
Right. Yes, it's true. And
It's
just flowing
business.
with that.
Yeah. And
Right.
if it doesn't exist, then the only things that exist on this particular planet are all masculine energy.
How interesting is that?
Roads, buildings, businesses, everything that exists is because it transformed from the feminine energy creation
Yeah.
into something that was birthed and protected enough to grow it and build it and touch it and feel it.
Right. So it's, oh, how interesting.
Yeah.
So do
So
you
that's
think
the
that,
shift. That's the shift that's going on. You know how we're talking about the feminine coming in,
hmm
getting written back in? That's
yes.
because we are going to now access our masculine and access our feminine. And when a woman does that, which is what they've never wanted us to do, because, oh my God, what are
The
they?
power.
The power. And so what
Yeah.
they did was they separated those two energies away from us and they made us not natural. And now we're coming back to natural, coming back to who we are. We are spiritual beings having a human experience and all people have masculine and feminine energy, and it's the way those two things work together in divine union
Mm.
will create what you create in your particular life.
I see, because it's like the people say who have been successful in any business are the ones
Anything.
who have a balance of
Yes.
their own
Yeah.
masculine, feminine. You don't necessarily need a partner. It's
No.
just your own internal.
Internal, yeah. When we get into relationships and talking about relationships, that's a whole nother how your divine feminine works with their divine feminine, and how your divine masculine works with their divine masculine. And what's happened in the past is the reason women are struggling at the moment is because they've stepped into their masculine energy, but in shadow, which has
Mhm.
tucked the masculine energy of the man away, because there's
Right.
no room for two penises.
Right.
So when
Yeah.
the woman's in her penis and the man's in his penis, it's just two
Doesn't work.
swords fighting. Like, it just doesn't work. So
Right.
when, the relationship side of it is a whole nother
Mhm.
discussion around the work we need to be doing to get in balance with each other. But when you're
Right.
just on your own in business, the ones that have been successful are the ones that have managed the creation, the gestation, and the birth of their baby out into the world. Then they've put structure and boundaries in place to let it live.
Right.
And they're
But
the ones that have been successful.
then do you notice they shift back into more of a feminine once it's created, or how do you see that energy show up do you see a pattern of energy shifting like between a woman? What is that? What could an example or could you expect
Look,
or
to me, the way I look at the world is I can see what is happening in feminine energy and what's happening in masculine energy. And let's say you build a business and you're an entrepreneurial spirit. What tends to happen with entrepreneurial spirits is they cannot wait to get back to the idea phase and get
yeah.
back to the gustation phase. So they have to sell their business, and you should get out of the way of your baby, get out of the way of your child, get out of the way so that it can grow, because quite frankly it does not need you, because
Right.
all you want to do is go back to the creation stage. So sell off that business and start a new one so that you can go through that process again, because
Right.
who doesn't love creation? I mean, I'm a big creator,
Me
and
too.
so I love creating. So that's why I've set my little life up the way I have, is because I get to create every single day of the week brand new little babies that have to survive out in the world. And
Mhm.
then I send them on their way and get to the next project. And that's
Yes,
the way I like it. I don't
I
want to
love
stay in a business doing the same thing around
that.
structure and processes and systems for
Yes.
20 years. I mean, that just stick a pen in my eye right now. I don't want to do it. So you've got to know your strengths and your weaknesses. And you know what? There's people out there in the world that are perfect to do that. They actually get a buzz out of doing that. So they're your general managers. They're your CEOs that you appoint. You
Mhm.
let them run it, because they are the creators of, they're just the destroyers of chaos. They will
Mm.
stop chaos, whereas entrepreneurial spirits create chaos.
Yes, well, I just did a human design reading, and I don't know if you've heard of that. And
Yeah,
she said,
I have.
you're a manifester, and then these are the generators. And I was like, oh, that makes sense why I have such a hard time doing the operations of
Yeah,
things. But the ideas, it's like, bring me back to that. Let me
yeah.
create something new. But it's
Yeah,
true,
and
there
that's the
are
beauty
people.
of virtual assistants. I mean, virtual assistants now you can have anywhere in the world doing all the tasks. They
Mm,
have revolutionized our lives, and you know the way the price points now. Um, it just, the whole industry is the most incredible industry, and one of the greatest transformations of this
right.
last 10, 15, 20 years. I'm all for it. And that's when you're building a business, you must start to delegate your tasks. And I teach my clients to do it in 10-hour blocks. So you
Mm,
get a 10-hour VA, teach them that, and get them doing that. Then get another 10 hours, get another VA, and get them doing that. And then you end up building your team out so that you're not doing any of that.
that's so brilliant.
Oh,
So straightforward and such a great tip because especially me, I have so many friends who are quite successful, but still not 20 years into it. So there's managing all of that thing, and it seems
yeah.
overwhelming to hire someone full time. But that's a great idea to split it up in 10-hour
Yeah.
blocks.
The other thing I say about that from a real practical point of view is I don't want you relegating those administration tasks before you've learnt them yourself.
Mm,
Because what I want you to do is be able to train someone how you want it done, but also to be able to manage it if it's,
right.
and know if it's not being done correctly. Whereas if you
Hmm.
have no bloody clue and you relegate your power and you just go, just do it, your business ends up getting out of hand and you don't know what's going on and you don't know how to fix it. It becomes a big mess. So
Right.
I like you to do 10-hour lots where you say, I've learnt this thing. I now do it my way. I've found the efficiencies and the effectiveness. Now I'll train it, and now they can do it. And then if
Hmm.
they have any questions or problems, they can come back to you and you know exactly what's going on.
Right.
So don't just delegate and not know. You've got to delegate knowing how to train it and how to fix it and how to help take it to that next level. I don't mind them becoming the expert and teaching me back and saying, oh, Katrena, you're doing it completely wrong. Like, this is so inefficient. Here's how you should be doing it. God, I
Right.
would give them a pay rise in a heartbeat if they did that. Now
Smart.
they're
Yeah, it's
teaching
true.
me. Yes, I
Ideally,
love
you'd want them teaching.
experts.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so
Yeah,
they
you
should
wanna
be.
hire people better than you.
Yeah, ideally. But at the initial stage, you need to know why you've chosen that platform, how you've set it up in that platform, and then teach them how to do it, and then let them evolve it and teach you
Right,
back. Yeah,
right,
that's the
right.
key. But most people don't. They just go, oh, I'm no good at admin. Oh, I'm no good at systems. Oh, I'm no good at any of technical stuff. well, you shouldn't be in business then.
Good point. I love it. No, you're right. It's so
Everything's technical.
straightforward.
Everything's
Everything else.
technology, everything.
You're
And
right.
it's
You're
about to
right.
get worse. I mean, AI is now going to take it to a whole. So the last 20 years, if you've missed all that, now you're going to go into AI. You're going to struggle with not knowing what the AI is doing. Whereas those of us who are technical and understand technology, we're going to adapt to the new environment for the next 20 years or the next 10 years or whatever. So technology is the number one thing that we need to stay on top of, that will help our lives, not make it a hindrance. And so I teach my clients all the platforms they need. I set it all up for them, and then I show them how to maintain it. And I keep the systems as simple as possible. And now with marketing, AI will do all that. Right. We won't need to worry about it. So we've all been struggling with marketing all this time.
Now it's done.
It'll all just be done by AI in the background while you sleep, so doesn't even matter.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, this is all. Thank you so much. Who can find you? Where can they find you? And at what point should they find you?
Yeah, well, I prefer if people have not wasted any time or wasted any money, and they might be still in their job, and they might be dreaming of being an entrepreneur and dreaming of being free. Then they're my client. They are the ones. So just go to becomingtheexpert.com.au, becomingtheexpert.com.au, sign up for a free discovery session, and let me have a little look-see at what your field of excellence might be. And within 15 minutes, I usually can find what their direction should be. And it's hidden from them normally. Normally they're like, I just don't know what I want to be when I grow up. It's like, great, call Katrena. That's her genius zone. Do that. Right. I love that because I'll blow their minds. Within 15 minutes, I'll blow their minds as to what they're expert at and what they should be creating around that expertise. The other type of client I get are those that have wasted a lot. They've wasted about 5 years. They've spent about $75,000. They're sitting in a business going, oh my God, this is so hard. I don't know what I'm doing. They come to me and we will restructure the whole thing and redivert everything that's going wrong and fix it all up. And that's a shame. They usually appreciate me the most because they know what pain feels like.
Yeah, they know how it feels to do it on their own.
Yeah, and how unsuccessful that was and how much time and energy has been wasted. I love to save those people, yes, but and they do appreciate me the most, whereas the other ones don't know what they don't know. They think this is what it's normally like, and I do it all for them just like magic, and they're like, oh, yeah, right, great. And they don't appreciate it because they don't know what they don't know.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
But innocence is bliss, and I think that's cute too.
That's true. A little more enthusiasm or high energy, I guess, to be working with, as opposed to like I've been trying this.
Yeah. But I love it if they're still in their job because, again, we're going to keep the job. We're going to run the dual strategy. We're going to set you up. You're going to be happy as bloody Larry, and it's just easy peasy.
Yeah, it feels better about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Do you have a mantra that you live by, or a quote, or just a little last piece of advice to a starting, budding entrepreneur?
Oh gosh, let's see what comes to my unconscious mind. I do have isms. I call them Katrena isms, and there's certain things that you live by. But the one that's probably pertinent for here and now during this conversation is, if not you, then who? If not now, when? And so I keep saying to people during the course when they're working with me, I go, okay, well, point to someone that will do it better. Go. Where are they? Go. Who knows what you know, who'll do it like you do it and won't annoy you about it? Yeah. There's no one. So if not you, then who? It's got to be you. Like, step up, people. And if not now, when? Like, do you want to wait another 5 years? Like, where did that get you? You want to wait another 10 years and have more money in the bank? Well, that won't happen. So Now, everything's about now. We all could be burnt in fires, drowning in floods. I mean, who knows with the way the world is, what's
Yeah.
going to happen. So make sure that you go out knowing that you had a great little crack. You had a good time. You did it all. You tasted it all.
Yes.
You were one of them. Be one
Yes.
of them. Don't
Yes.
be one of them.
No,
Yeah.
thank you. I've been laughing the whole time, but getting so many great pieces of knowledge and advice. And you remind me of so many people in my family. So it's that Australian energy is just different in the world. You're also like, just go for it. And it's
Yeah.
strong and powerful. And I love it.
Oh, thank you so much, Sky. It's been so
Yeah.
lovely spending time with you. You're a beautiful soul, and I can certainly feel that all the way over here.
Oh, thank you. You as well. No, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I feel honored to just have had a whole hour to myself with you and share this with everyone else. I'm like, woo, excited. I feel your passion and energy as well.
Thank you so
Mhm.
much. Well, we'll catch
Yes,
up soon, I hope.
absolutely. And I'll share all of her information in the description as well, so there'll be links there, and you can have your own time with her as well.
Yeah, that'll be
Yes.
great. Yeah. And that's the other thing is getting over themselves around that. Because a lot of humble, modest people will say, oh, I don't want to waste her time. Well, I don't want to waste my time either. That's why I'll make this session really fantastic. And you'll walk away with lots of value, regardless of whether we
Right.
work together or not. So
Hmm.
if you're sitting there having those thoughts, and I know you are, get over yourself and take something from this life. If
Right.
somebody offers you something with generosity, the answer to that is thank you,
Yes.
not
100%.
to push it away. So, receive with grace and, just receive and just
Hmm.
allow that to occur. Because I don't have to work with you, but I would certainly love to add value to your life, especially with
Hmm.
a new year, a new year
Yeah.
starting.
I
Let's
know, it's
start with
perfect.
fresh
It's
energy, fresh
exciting.
ideas. Yeah.
Yep. Feeling the.
It's a fun time.
Hmm. Well, that is a perfect note to end it on. Thank you so much, Katrina. I appreciate your time and energy and love and soul as well. And if you guys have any other future questions, comment and I can always ask her as well. Thank you.
See you soon.